Emerging from the shadows after more than a decade of silence, Burial Tree returns with the power of myth, a sprawling three-track odyssey that fuses sludge, free jazz, post-rock, and cinematic ambience into something both beautiful and unsettling. Guided by founder Monte Cimino and joined by an all-star cast including Bill Laswell and legendary drummer Dave Lombardo, the record is less an album than an otherworldly experience. An invitation into a soundscape where ritual, chaos, and myth collide. Monty, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it, mate.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
Not a problem. And I'm loving the background there. Is that all CDs I'm seeing behind you?
Yeah. This is the CD room, and I have another room that's all my records.
Beautiful. That is awesome. As you can see, I'm a collector as well, as you can see by my background with all the toys behind me. So,
I feel like we're already kindred spirits.
oh, mate, yeah. Collectors are we're a crazy breed of people, and
We are.
yeah, and I'm sure, like myself, I have tubs and tubs of stuff that I don't have out, that I just don't have
Yes.
space to be able to put out. So I've got the important stuff out, but there's still, yeah, I keep buying stuff and there's nowhere to put it. So,
I don't know what we're gonna do when we're 80 and homeless.
well, look, I've made sure I've told my partner that if I do die, please put
Mhm.
everything up for auction. Do not
Oh,
do not get rid of
yeah,
it.
right.
Like I've told her.
100%.
Yeah, there's stuff here that's worth a bit of money, so I want to make sure that she's looked after if that ever happened.
Yeah, you're a good man.
Mate, so from my understanding, you guys like were on a pretty big, I'm gonna call it a hiatus because it all came sort of back together. But during COVID, is my understanding, you kind of just took the reins again and started writing some demos.
Yeah,
Was was
correct.
was it the isolation that prompted it all?
It was my endless curiosity to explore new sounds. Um, and Burial Tree was a working band that I started back in 2008 when I lived in San Francisco, California. We put out two records with the original lineup. And the concept is to sort of take heavy music and color outside the lines, right? So add stuff that you don't traditionally find with heavier music, right? So there's a lot of texture and ambience, sort of non-traditional instrumentation. So the first two records had cello on them, Outer Dark in 2010 and Rituals in 2012. And with this new record, Peter Apfelbaum plays saxophone on it. So that's sort of the element that, keeps the framework of what Burial Tree is together. But, as we all were during the pandemic, right? We were, at home, and I'm constantly writing music, recording music, playing with people, trying to find new folks to connect with. And I sat down one day during the pandemic early on and hit record. And sigils is what came of that recording session. And my parts were completely improvised. I had no preconceived notion of what I was going to do. But when I got done that day, I was like, well, this doesn't fit anything I'm currently doing. It doesn't fit the ambient world. It doesn't fit the hardcore metal world. And so it just popped in my brain, oh, I should, bring back Burial Tree and find a new lineup to sort of facilitate the music I was making at the time.
That is amazing. And like many musicians, myself included, I actually built the studio. Well, not built, I mean, the room was here, but put this studio I'm in now together during COVID.
Oh,
And that was such a creative time for so many of us. So
right?
I taught myself to record during that period, put out a lot of music that I wish I didn't put out, but I'm glad it's out there because it shows the progress of me learning
Yeah.
how to, learning that craft. So, and I completely understand that wanting to just constantly create, because that is exactly me. If I'm not creating, as you can see, I've got guitars within reach
Yeah.
at all times, usually, my keyboard, things I can't go without
Yeah.
daily. So I completely
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah.
No, it's important.
Yeah, it's hugely important.
Mhm.
Without that outlet, I think we'd go crazy.
I just get grumpy.
Yeah,
I'm already crazy.
well, like most musicians are, I think. Mate,
Yeah.
now you have got some amazing collaborations on this album. I'm blown away. Firstly, I've been listening to this, as I mentioned before we started, quite heavily. Track two. Now, I'm hope I'm pronouncing this one right. Is it Veve? Veve?
Yeah, they.
And
Mhm.
it's like a a voodoo term, if I'm correct.
Yeah, exactly. The sort of the theme of the record was, the first song is Sigils and the second song is They, and these are creations that people make that have sort of mythical
Mm.
connotations to them. And I understand, music theory. I've studied it. Depending on where I am in my life, I remember it or I don't. But for me, in my process with creating music, it's very intuitive. And when I was making this music, I just the process of creating connected to these forms of spirituality, of connecting with otherworldly things.
Hmm.
And the music itself is very intricate. There's a lot going on. And it just sort of, I don't have a process where I deduce things to a name of a song. It just sort of comes into being as I'm creating the song or after the song is done. And it just felt right at the time. And so those are sort of the connections.
So how are you pulling these people in to play on the record? I mean, you've got some huge names on
Um,
there.
yeah, I mean, listen, it's about taking chances.
Hmm.
I hear you talk about, making music and you put out all this music and some of it you probably shouldn't have. And I would wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. Put out everything you do.
Like, yeah,
It's regardless of the genre, music to me is about love. Music to me is about connecting with people, whether you're doing the darkest black metal or the most ethereal new age music. It's about connecting with people. It's about putting what you love out to find, yourself and to find other people. And so, I've been obsessed with music as long as I can remember. And I've been a huge fan of Bill Laswell for decades. He's my Jimi Hendrix
yeah.
and or my Beatles. And so about 10 years ago, he was playing in a trio with Dave Lombardo and John Zorn in LA. Part of it was one of those Zorn's concerts now where it's like five bands, 3 hours, they're awesome. And so after the show, I saw Bill hanging out in the hallway, and I have hundreds of his records. And so I walked up to him and said, "Hey man, I'm a huge fan. It was a great show. Just wanted to meet and say hi." And he said, "Oh, cool." And we talked for a minute, and that was that. And shortly after, his through Facebook, his manager reached out to me. And her and I started talking. She sent me some stuff. And we slowly kind of started to build a relationship back in 2015. Um, and it took about 5 years, but I finally got the nerve up to ask Bill if he wanted to play on a record of mine. And that was the first time we worked together. And we ended up putting out a record on his label called Dark Matter Halo with Bill Laswell. And it's called Caravan to the Stars. And it's, ambient music, his stamp on it. And then we recorded a 7 inch together. And we got along really well interpersonally and creatively. And after those two records, we recorded some more stuff. And I was talking to him fairly frequently over the phone. And when I got to the Burial Tree record and I finished the first song and I had my friend Adam play drums on it. He's a drummer here in the Bay Area. He's done a lot of
Mhm.
hardcore metal,
Yeah.
punk. Great, phenomenal drummer and an amazing human being. I, After that song was done, I started on Vevey, and it just has such a darker feel to it, a lot more hallucinatory, a lot more
Yeah.
psychedelic in some regards. And I was like, I wonder if Lombardo would want to play on this because I knew him and Bill were close. So I called Bill and said, "Hey, do you think Dave would want to play on this track?" And he said, "I'm sure he would." So a week goes by, and I get a text from Dave Lombardo saying, "Hey, Bill reached out to me. Give me a call and we'll talk." So he and I spoke. I sent him the song. We talked about some ideas, and within a few weeks, Dave sent me his contribution to the song. And I was working on it, and I felt like something was missing. And that's when I thought, oh, saxophone would be great over, one of the
Mm.
sections in this song. And so I reached out to Bill again, and he recommended Peter. And I'm a, Bay Area born and raised guy. I've followed Peter's work for 30 years. I remember when he started out in Berkeley. And like Dave and Bill, he was super nice, super professional, got his tracks done really quick. And then around that time, I was actually diagnosed with stage 3 cancer.
Oh wow.
So that put all my creative endeavors on hold, and I went through chemotherapy, radiation, surgery. And the minute I was better, dude, I got back on and finished the record. Um, and reached out to my friend Arun, who owns Subcontinental Records in India, and he and I worked on getting the album pressed and out to folks.
Well, mate, firstly, congratulations on kicking the shit out of cancer. That's fucking awesome. Um,
Yeah, thanks, man.
no, no, not a problem. I'm in a band myself, and my drummer, I think it was he had cancer in his lymphoid, and
Oh, good Lord.
same thing. But he kicked its ass, and I love hearing those
Good. I'm glad
stories.
to hear it.
Yeah, I've got the one of the editors on the magazine I write for, stage 4 cancer. And he is still here
Ah,
kicking ass and in remission. And yeah, so I've seen it. I know how hard that struggle is. Congratulations on that. That is
yeah.
fucking huge. So yeah, that is awesome.
Oh,
And
thanks, man. I really
it
appreciate it.
it really shows how much that how do I word this? I mean, the best advice I was ever given musically is to just show up. If you don't show up, you're not going to be considered to be in the race. Sometimes that just is just asking the question, do you want to be involved? Can you listen to this for
Yeah.
me? You know, whatever it is. And sometimes reaching out to those sort of people is a scary thing, but yeah. And I also putting all the music out.
It is,
I agree
it's
with you as
like,
well.
yeah, but it's been 30 years. It's not like I started playing guitar yesterday and then I reached out to Bill and
Yeah.
Dave and it all worked out. It's been 30 years of putting out music that no one's heard, that no one listens to. My Bandcamp page has like 40 albums I've done. Um, but I don't, over time, I stopped doing it to get validation.
Yes.
And I realized there is a part of my life that is truly, purely creative, and I have to do it. And so my circle of collaborators is relatively small. I have a experimental electronic project with a friend out of Portland that we've put out 4 records together over
Awesome.
10 years. I have my dark matter Halo ambient stuff I put out a bunch of music on. I have working bands, hardcore, punk, metal. Um, and I just love the process of creating, organizing sound, working with people, putting things together. And so kind of like life, I feel like I made some of my mistakes in music early on, right? Losing my temper with folks or not quite buying into showing up. So by the time I got to meeting Bill, I was at a point where I had the ability to communicate properly, to create music that's worth listening to for him, you know, uh, interacting with him in a way where he felt confident he could refer me to Dave, right? And so, we have to pay our dues.
Yes.
We have to go through that process of figuring out who we are creatively. And so that way, as opportunities arise for us, we can manage them and handle them properly.
Now, I don't know if, like myself, are you someone that you'll keep working on a song until you put it out? Is that putting it out like it's finished, it's final, I can forget about it and move on to the next project?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I have let go of a lot of things. My earlier stuff, I obsessed over. Um, but I've gotten to the point now where I trust my instincts. I trust my creative process. And then if I'm collaborating with folks, I trust what they do. Because I've been in bands where people obsess over 3 lyrics,
Yeah.
where people obsess over 2 notes and a riff. And maybe they were right. I don't know. But if you're working with it's like a relationship, right? Like if you're with the right person, it flows. And when tension comes up, you talk about it and you work through it, and the final product is better because you work through it,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and so yeah, yeah. So when I'm done with something, I'm done with something. I went through this record was hard in the sense that having Bill and Dave and Peter on it, I I'm their name is on what I put out. It's their contributions,
Yeah.
but I arranged it and and everything, and so there was some weight there. Um, working with Dave initially, I was just so nervous. I really wanted to make sure I did his stuff justice.
Yep.
And I feel that the final product is definitely worth listening to and listening to more than once.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. With headphones on.
Because yeah, it's different than a lot of music that we hear today in the sense that it takes time to develop. If you listen to one song but not all three, you're not getting the full picture.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's an album that I've been listening to a lot. Um,
Oh, wonderful.
yeah, I mean, Peter's saxophone part on Veve is just phenomenal. It just blew me away. It's
Yeah.
so chaotic and free form jazz, and it's just in your face, but it's still not in your face.
Yeah.
Dave's drum sound is just massive on there as well.
Dude, it's so
Um,
intense. And it was like, I'll never forget. So the conversation was, if you want me to do double bass or if you want me to do this, we can go into a studio and I can do it, or I can just do it in my home.
mhm.
And he's like, do you have any ideas? So I gave him some pointers. And so let's just do it at do it at your house. We don't need to go into a studio. And I was down in Southern California when he sent me the tracks. I think it was over Christmas. And I remember waking up before everyone else was up on my phone and I hit play and I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
You know, uh as a I try and stay in my lane a lot of the times when I'm making music. And so whether it's Dave or someone else who's unknown, I have a hard time sometimes giving a lot of direction. I feel like you're going to get the best from people if you allow them to be themselves.
Yeah.
And Dave just killed it, man. I mean, just the dark.
Uh-oh. Okay, okay, nobody panic. Listen up, listen up.
Yep, the power went out. What do? You keep going. Sometimes life kicks you in the dick. You laugh at it. Um, I'll round everything up now. I always finish everything up with some quick fire questions. So this is just off the top of your head. Feel free
Quick
to
fire? You want me to
Yeah.
think fast?
Well, I mean, yeah, well, it's a difficult one, and these are hard questions for musicians to answer sometimes as well. So it doesn't have to be super quick, but and you don't have to limit it to one answer. You might have 10 answers for the one question.
Okay.
And you'll see why this is a hard question. But who's your favorite band?
Oh, good God.
Yeah, mine
Hey,
changes daily.
you're not gonna expect this. Metallica.
Oh, that's awesome. That is
Yeah, they
awesome.
were my first favorite band when I was 12 years old, and yeah, I love
Did,
them. They're great.
did they are they who inspired you to become a musician?
I think partly, yeah. I got into them just after Cliff died. I got into them with Garage Days,
Yeah, that's an
and
odd album to come into as well.
yeah, it was. Yeah, 13-year-old kid in the Bay Area. But the first record I heard that changed my life, well, the first two were Ice-T's first record, Rhyme Pays, and then
Yes.
Slayer's EP, Aggressive Perfector. Those are the first two I heard that changed my life. But
Okay, I have a strange connection between those two albums for you as well.
oh, really?
So I grew up listening to hip hop.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so Ice-T was like one of my number ones.
Right?
We have a radio station here in Australia called Triple J, and
Uh-huh.
he was on the radio station, and I recorded it. I had a tape deck that would let me, like a video player, record at a certain time. I had a like a so I set it to because I knew he was doing this interview, and I got home from school, grabbed the tape, listened to it, and they asked him his top five favorite bands, and they played each a song from each band. His number two was Slayer, and
Oh, that's rad.
it was the first time I ever heard super like heavy thrash sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
heaviest I'd heard before that was like Soundgarden or Alice in Chains and that sort of stuff. I hadn't heard like the extreme end of stuff.
Yeah.
And then that led into so much other stuff, Machine Head and all these amazing
Everything.
bands. But it was Ice-T
Yeah.
that introduced me to Slayer.
And it goes back to our previous conversation about, music being sort of this emotional thing, right? And I think some of that early hip hop, particularly out of LA, is just as heavy as any metal band, dude.
Oh,
Even though it's not
100%.
bass. I mean, that shit's fucking heavy.
Public
Uh,
Enemy.
Public Enemy,
Yeah.
and so, there's definitely, I feel, a bridge. Before it was acceptable to say that, there was one there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up with like Public Enemy, De La Soul,
Hmm.
KRS-One, and I even beat his earlier stuff,
Yep.
BDP, Ice-T, like we said, Beastie Boys,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Be with Run DMC as well.
Yeah,
Uh, all that, because I'm 51, and so, my initial exposure was Top 40 radio and MTV. But then, you know, once you hear metal, right? Once you hear rap, hip hop, like these back then when those genres were on the peripheral, right? And as young people, we heard them, it there are people who it didn't matter to. And then for people like us, it mattered and it changed our lives
yeah,
forever in the
yeah,
best possible way.
yeah. And
Yeah.
for me, there was also that initial, I shouldn't be listening to this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to hide this from mum and dad. Like, I don't want them to hear me listening to this, or, but it made me want to listen even more and understand what they were talking about and what they were saying. So,
And so what I did, my parents are great people. I love them both. They're both still alive. They're both into their own styles of music. But I agree with you. I used to buy cassette tapes, not records, so I could hide them under my bed. You know? I mean, I didn't want my parents to see, the Rain and Blood cassette or the Master of Puppets cassette, or Death Angel, or Exodus or, whatever, Ice-T. So all that stuff was hid under my
all
bed.
right, I remember getting the balls eventually to start. Like, I'd get a cassette tape and make a mixtape, and mum would let me put it in the car if we are going somewhere. I'd typo negative playing one day,
Oh
and
gosh.
mum asked me why I was suddenly listening to Christian music.
That's
Because all
rad.
she heard was like Pete Steele singing like Jesus Christ and this sort of stuff,
Yeah.
these words. And she wasn't listening to what he was actually saying. So from then onwards, I was just like, I can listen to whatever. They're not actually listening to what they're saying. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it's very
Yeah,
fun.
I had it all, and I think part of, just real quick, for me, the creative part, the music part has been this internal process that's separate from all my other parts of life. It's separate from my family, it's separate from my work life. I have my friends that are into it, but it's this really beautiful journey that we go through, right?
Yeah.
Exploring. It's just funny when people are like, "Oh, you make music. Oh, what do you make?" And then you're like, "Well,
I love when I get the oh, so you're in a band and oh, you've got it, you and your
yeah."
you and your little friends playing a band, and then I encourage them to come and see us play. And then they're like, okay, wow, you're in a band, man. Wow, okay, what?
Yeah.
Which I love that.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's a balance.
It's yeah, it's good fun though. Like I couldn't live without it. So,
I couldn't either.
yeah. Now, mate, do you have an Australian band that you like? A favorite Australian band? Being an Aussie, I have to ask the question.
A birthday party, man.
Oh, yes. What an answer. So many people come
30,
back to me with like AC/DC, AC/DC.
yeah.
Throw Nick Cave at me. I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
the birthday party,
I had
Dirty
Nick the
Free.
Stripper playing earlier, so
Ah, I have Nick's earlier records. I don't have any of the newer stuff.
yep.
But the early Nick Cave records, Birthday
Oh,
Party,
yeah.
Dirty Three, and obviously AC/DC. But like,
Yeah.
dude, you guys have a killer scene, man.
We're very, very lucky. We've got some amazing bands. And even now with guys like Parkway Drive and stuff like that, still just killing it in the metal scene.
Oh, is
Um,
Parkway Drive Australian?
they certainly are, yeah. Byron
I love
boys.
them too.
They are fantastic. I've
Yeah.
been lucky enough to play with them a very long time ago myself. But
Oh, rad.
they're lovely guys. They are awesome.
Yeah.
Everything you see in the media about them is them. They are just nice dudes. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
had a, I, I have a hardcore project called Concrete Walls, and our singer is a huge Parkway Drive fan, so he turned me on to them several years ago.
That's
Are they
awesome.
considered metalcore?
I would think so. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
I grew up playing I'm in a metalcore death metal band,
Okay.
metalcore band that's got some death metal influences in there.
Like
Um,
deathcore.
Kind of, but it's not really deathcore. A lot more
Okay.
melodic. Not
Oh,
as
okay.
not as in your face. Like one of my favorite things about our shows is the first few rows is usually girls singing along,
Oh, rad.
having a good time. And I
Yeah.
love that. It's a nice safe space for them. But we're catchy and melodic, so it's that sort of thing. It's you know
So you know Suicide Silence.
yeah.
Yeah, so I used to drink with the bass player all the time when I used to live in Pacifica, which is a coastal town in Northern California.
Awesome.
And I was there one night late drinking, and this young kid comes in with long hair, and I was talking to some guy about Buckethead, right?
Yep.
This very, long-haired Hesher kid, very nice, comes over and's like, "Oh, you guys like Buckethead?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we start talking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I just got back from Asia." And I was like, "Oh, right on, man." He's like, "Yeah, my band was playing there." And I was like, "Oh, who's your band?" And he said, "Suicide Silence." And this is when I was just getting into like metalcore and all that.
Yep.
And I said, "Oh, I've never heard of you guys." And I looked them up, and they had like 4 million followers. And Danny is the nicest guy in the world. He's from the same town my wife is from in Southern California. And so there was like a 5 year period where, we'd go drinking and hang out, and just a sweet guy. And, I love that music. And with my age, folks kind of shun that genre, but, metalcore has done a lot of great things for heavy music, in my opinion, with what they've done, crossing over into other genres as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm actually not too far away in age from you myself. I'm only about maybe 4 or 5 years younger. I'll be
Oh my God, you
46.
look like you're in your 30s.
Oh no, no children. It's fantastic.
That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah. All my friends that are my age, I'll be 46 in a few weeks. All my friends that are my
Oh,
age,
right
I
on.
kind of, yeah, I see people I went to school with, and I go, "Ooh, what
Yeah.
happened?" But
Yeah.
yeah, no children, running
There it
around
is.
competing with 20-year-olds on stage with a microphone still. So it keeps us young. Keeps us
Yeah.
young. Mate, do you have a favorite show that you've attended? Like just a gig that you
Yeah.
stands out in your mind that blew you away?
Yeah. One of the shows that changed my life early on was in 91, 92. I was in the East Bay where I grew up, and me and two or three of my friends who were like, metal dudes, punk dudes, kind of scary to hang out with. They invited me to go see this show that was uh, Sleep. Around the time their first record came out,
Nice.
Neurosis and Crash Worship.
Oh wow, that's an interesting
Um,
lineup.
Dude, it was blew my, so I knew who Sleep was. I
Yeah,
believe I knew who Neurosis was at the time, but I'd never heard Crash Worship. And so we got there and Sleep was playing, and that changed my life because those guys are
are
phenomenal.
they? Yeah,
Yeah, and then Neurosis played. It was around the time of Souls at Zero, which is my favorite record by them. And then there was like a 2 hour gap waiting for Crash Worship to come on. And we're all facing the stage, right? And you just hear this explosion, and everyone turns around, and there's just pits of fire. There's it's all drums, and there's naked people with knives in their mouths walking around on the ground. And I'm this square looking kid like I am now, and this happened, and I was like, this is it. This is what I was meant to experience. This is who I am. And that was, we all have these moments in our life, and that was one of a couple of moments in that period of time. The cassette tape I told you about with Slayer and
yeah.
Ice-T, a few other things in this show. And it changed my life. And I knew I wanted to do music that wasn't ordinary, that was out of the path of normality, that was darker. So yeah, phenomenal show.
That is awesome. Yeah, we've all got that moment. For me, it was there's a band called the Hope Conspiracy, and
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
yeah, yeah, seeing those guys play, and they were doing, I think it was the cover of Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Oh
And the
wow.
singers grabbed my head and just pulled me into his head during the
Oh
chorus, big sing along, and I just knew from that moment I was like, I need to do this. Like this is what I want to
yeah.
do. And very soon after that, had started the first band, and 20 years goes by and we're still doing it. So
We are. Yeah,
yeah.
never gonna stop.
Mate, last question for the interview. And now this is an odd one. Um, if the power of myth was a forbidden ritual in an ancient book, what would the warning on the first page be?
Wow. Beware of the chasm.
Oh, I like it. I like it. And like I've been slightly obsessed with the album over the last few days, and putting it on with headphones on and just sitting down and closing your eyes and escaping into it. amazing. And yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
Monty, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. This is your chance to promote anything you want, anything you want to put out there. Yeah, what would you like to say?
Yeah. Chris, thank you for your support. Thanks for your time. Let's keep in touch, man. I know we're connected on social media now, so
Yes.
please don't be a stranger. I'm gonna check out what you're doing. If you got any links, send them to
Yeah,
me.
I will.
So Subcontinental Records put out the Power of Myth. It's on Subcontinental Bandcamp. If you go to Monte Cimino Bandcamp, I have everything I've done. I will put the Power of Myth on my Bandcamp page later down the road, but right now it's on Runes. But if you're interested in my stuff, Monte Cimino Bandcamp. Chris, you're a wonderful human being. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
and happy listening, my friend.
No, I appreciate it. Now there will be links in the description to all of that stuff as well, guys. So yeah, straight down below you'll be able to go follow all the Monty stuff.
Yeah.
Get into it. I'd really encourage you to especially listen to this new album. If you're a fan of heavy music, if you're a fan of experimental stuff, if you're a fan of jazz, any of that stuff, get into it. It is amazing. Mate, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and yeah, I'll definitely will be staying in touch.
You'll stay in touch, man. Take care, Chris. Thanks again.
You too, mate. Cheers.